Breaking. One bold statement has completely changed the conversation ahead of one of the most anticipated UFC fights in recent memory. Max Holloway didn't hesitate, didn't smile, and didn't leave any room for doubt when he revealed the one reason he believes stepping into the octagon with Conor McGregor is unlike facing anyone else. What he said wasn't about fear, it wasn't about rankings, and it definitely wasn't about legacy alone. Instead, Holloway admitted there are unique rewards attached to fighting the biggest superstar the sport has ever produced, and his confidence reached another level when he declared that he would stake everything on one particular prediction. That single remark instantly fueled debate across the MMA world, because fans realized this wasn't ordinary pre-fight trash talk. It sounded like a veteran who truly understands how the business works and exactly what this matchup means. As UFC 329 continues to draw global attention, the rivalry between these two men has suddenly become far more fascinating than anyone expected. More than a decade has passed since their first meeting, and almost everything about both fighters has changed. Back then, Holloway was an ambitious young prospect, trying to prove he belonged among the elite. McGregor was climbing toward superstardom with unmatched confidence and devastating precision. Their paths separated after that night, yet destiny somehow found a way to bring them back together. Only now the stakes feel even greater. Holloway carries years of championship experience, unforgettable wars, and the respect earned through consistency. McGregor enters surrounded by questions after an extended absence, but his ability to command worldwide attention remains unmatched. Every interview, every workout, every social media post becomes front-page news whenever his name appears. Holloway understands that reality better than most. During a recent media appearance, he openly acknowledged something many fighters quietly believe, but rarely admit. Fighting Conor McGregor creates opportunities that simply don't exist against almost anyone else on the roster. Massive attention follows, bigger audiences tune in, careers receive another spotlight, sponsorship interest rises, the spotlight becomes brighter than ever. And Holloway made it clear he recognizes those benefits without pretending otherwise. Yet what surprised everyone wasn't simply his honesty. It was the absolute certainty behind another statement that quickly exploded across combat sports discussions. Holloway declared he would be willing to bet his life that McGregor would actually show up and make the walk to the octagon. That confidence immediately caught people's attention, because questions have surrounded McGregor's return for years. Injuries delayed plans. Different opponents came and went. Scheduled appearances disappeared. Fans repeatedly wondered whether another comeback announcement would actually become reality. Holloway, however, brushed aside every doubt. From his perspective, the Irish superstar knows exactly what this fight represents. According to Holloway, McGregor understands the magnitude of the event, the financial rewards involved, and the chance to remind the world why his name still dominates headlines. Holloway's confidence wasn't based on blind optimism. It came from reading the situation like an experienced professional who has spent years inside the UFC machine. While countless fans continue debating McGregor's condition after such a long layoff, Holloway appears more interested in preparing for the best possible version of his opponent instead of hoping for an easier challenge. That mindset says a great deal about his mentality entering fight week. Rather than underestimating McGregor because of inactivity, Holloway appears determined to eliminate every excuse before the cage door even closes. If victory comes, he wants nobody questioning its value. But what happened next added another fascinating layer to the entire conversation. Holloway began explaining why McGregor remains different from virtually every other athlete in mixed martial arts. According to him, there are fighters who become champions. There are fighters who become fan favorites. And then there are once-in-a-generation attractions capable of transforming entire events simply by signing a contract. McGregor belongs to that final category. Whether people support him or criticize him, they still watch. They still react. They still talk about him every single day. Holloway recognizes that level of influence because he has witnessed it throughout his own career. Instead of denying reality, he embraced it openly. The honesty earned respect from many observers because it reflected the business side of combat sports without diminishing the competitive side. Holloway never suggested money alone motivates him. Instead, he acknowledged that when elite competition combines with extraordinary visibility, everyone involved benefits. The UFC wins. The fans receive a blockbuster event. The fighters gain enormous exposure. That balance helps explain why this rematch has generated extraordinary excitement despite so many years passing since their first encounter. Yet beneath all the headlines lies another emotional storyline that refuses to disappear. Holloway has evolved into one of the most beloved fighters of his generation through relentless pressure, legendary durability, and unforgettable performances inside the cage. McGregor built his reputation through fearless confidence, precision striking, and a personality capable of filling arenas before a single punch was thrown. Their styles remain dramatically different, but perhaps that's exactly why this rematch feels so compelling. One man represents constant activity and proven consistency. The other represents mystery, unpredictability, and enormous star power. Nobody truly knows which version of McGregor will appear after such a long absence, and that uncertainty only increases anticipation. The biggest twist was still coming, because Holloway wasn't finished explaining his perspective. He suggested that every competitor dreams about participating in events remembered for years, rather than simply adding another win to the record books. This contest has all the ingredients to become one of those defining moments: the atmosphere, the history, the personalities, the worldwide attention. Everything points toward an unforgettable night if both athletes perform anywhere near their highest level. Still, Holloway understands that speculation means absolutely nothing once the cage door closes. Reputation cannot block punches. Fame cannot survive relentless pressure without preparation. Past accomplishments guarantee nothing inside the octagon. Those realities have shaped Holloway's career from the beginning, and they continue guiding his approach now. Even while discussing business opportunities and media attention, he repeatedly returned to competition itself. For him, the spotlight creates excitement, but the actual fight remains the only thing capable of deciding how history remembers this chapter. And just when it seemed the conversation had revealed everything, another development started shifting attention toward what this rematch could mean for both careers if the outcome delivers an unexpected surprise. From that point forward, the focus shifts away from interviews and predictions, because everything ultimately comes down to what happens once the octagon door closes. Holloway understands better than almost anyone that hype has never won a fight. The cameras eventually stop flashing, the arena settles into an electric silence, and only preparation remains. That is exactly why this matchup carries so much intrigue. One fighter has stayed active against elite competition year after year, constantly sharpening every aspect of his game. The other returns with the confidence that made him one of the biggest attractions in combat sports history, determined to remind the world that greatness does not disappear overnight. Those two realities are on a collision course, and nobody can predict which one will prevail. For Holloway, this isn't simply another appearance on a major card. It represents a chance to erase the memory of their first meeting and create a completely different ending. Years ago, he entered that fight as a young prospect, still learning what it meant to compete at the highest level. Today, he arrives with championship experience, countless rounds against the sport's toughest names, and a reputation for pushing an unbelievable pace from the opening bell until the final horn. Every difficult battle has added another layer to his game. Every setback has strengthened his resolve. Every victory has reinforced the belief that he belongs among the greatest featherweights the UFC has ever seen. And now he has an opportunity to prove that growth against the very opponent who defeated him early in his career. McGregor faces a different kind of pressure. His legacy has already been secured through historic accomplishments, unforgettable knockouts, and record-breaking events. Even after years away from competition, his name continues to dominate headlines across the MMA world. That level of influence is rare in any sport, Yet influence alone cannot answer the biggest questions surrounding this comeback. Fans are eager to discover whether the same explosive timing, sharp accuracy, and fearless aggression still remain after such a long absence. Every training clip sparks debate. Every public appearance creates fresh speculation. Some believe the old McGregor is ready to return. Others wonder whether the sport has evolved too much during his time away. Those questions will finally receive answers under the brightest lights possible. Another fascinating element is the psychological battle unfolding before a single strike has been thrown. Holloway has remained calm throughout the build-up, speaking with confidence while avoiding unnecessary hostility. His message has stayed remarkably consistent. Respect the opponent, prepare for the toughest version possible, and let performance speak louder than words. That approach contrasts sharply with the image many people associate with McGregor, whose confidence has always been one of his most recognizable weapons. Whether through memorable press conferences or bold predictions, he has repeatedly shown an ability to create enormous attention before fight night even arrives. The clash of personalities makes this contest feel even bigger because neither athlete needs manufactured drama. Their histories create enough emotion on their own. There is also the tactical side of the matchup, something dedicated MMA fans cannot ignore. Holloway thrives when the pace increases and exchanges become longer. His cardio has repeatedly allowed him to overwhelm opponents as fights progress, forcing them to work at a tempo few competitors can sustain. McGregor, meanwhile, built his reputation on precision and efficiency, often searching for the perfect opening rather than throwing unnecessary strikes. If he can establish his rhythm early, the momentum could swing in dramatic fashion. If Holloway survives those dangerous opening moments and drags the contest into deeper waters, the balance may begin to change. That strategic contrast creates suspense before every round even begins. The emotional stakes continue growing with every passing day. A victory for Holloway would represent another defining chapter in an already remarkable career. It would demonstrate that persistence, activity, and constant evolution ultimately paid off against one of the sport's biggest icons. A victory for McGregor would instantly silence countless critics who questioned whether another successful return was possible. It would remind the MMA world that legendary competitors can still produce unforgettable moments, regardless of how much time has passed. One thing remains certain. The atmosphere surrounding this fight will be unlike almost anything else on the UFC calendar. Fans from every corner of the world will tune in, eager to witness whether history repeats itself or takes an entirely new direction. Every exchange inside the cage will be analyzed in real time. Every adjustment could shift the momentum. Every second will matter because opportunities of this magnitude rarely come around twice. That is why Holloway's earlier comments continued generating discussion long after the interview ended. They reflected more than confidence. They reflected an understanding of the unique position both athletes occupy in modern mixed martial arts. Blockbuster fights are built on more than rankings. They require history, personality, meaningful stakes, and genuine belief from both competitors. This rematch checks every one of those boxes. Now the countdown continues. The anticipation keeps rising, and soon there will be no more predictions, no more debates, and no more unanswered questions. Only two experienced warriors standing across from each other inside the Octagon, ready to discover whose story moves forward and whose journey takes an unexpected turn. Whether this becomes another unforgettable chapter for Max Holloway or a spectacular comeback for Conor McGregor, one thing is already guaranteed. The entire MMA world will be watching when the cage door finally closes, and the answer everyone has been waiting for will arrive one strike at a time.